Please welcome last year's award ambassador, Danny Graham, to introduce Brendan Maguire.
Thanks, Heidi. I can relate to some of what Corey was saying earlier today when he spoke about the challenge of accepting the honors that are bestowed upon the people who are recipients tonight, because I had the same sentiment last year. I want to congratulate, at the end of last year, I thought to myself, there are much more deserving people in the community, and I'll make it my mission to ensure that Family SOS has some terrific nominees this year, and I want to congratulate the committee and Donna and so many people for making sure that these inspiring stories from Kylie, Nancy, Corey, David, Hope, and of course Brendan are heard here today. It's in some ways it is a bit like what Corey was saying, in that every one of us when we walk through this door recognize that we all have stories and we've all overcome adversity in one fashion or another. Every family faces this, and the people who are recognized here this evening are really being recognized as a window through which we get to recognize the strength and the integrity and the potential of the human spirit. So that brings us to Brendan Maguire. I can remember when Barbara Streisand, aka Linda Wilson, who typically is in the farthest part of this room, way at the end, and Ainsley McNeil Campbell told me about this young buckaroo named Brendan Maguire, and they asked me whether or not I would give him some political advice. Some who know my political career would suggest that that was their first mistake. But they kept going on about this fella, and it was like a yada, yada, yeah, he can't possibly be like this. So a meeting was arranged, auspiciously at the Halifax Shopping Centre. And Brendan arrived late, and he showed up, and I heard a bit about his story, and I saw the tats right away, and all the rest. And like Premier McNeil said just a little while ago, instantly, you knew that there was something different about this person. And it wasn't about even his ideas, it was about Brendan the person. It was about the person who was looking back at you. And so I was asked to give him advice about politics, but we never talked about politics. In fact, in all the times that we've ever talked, we've never talked about politics. And I've got really no advice to give him, and I didn't then, except just to be yourself. To show up as yourself, and everything else will take care of itself. So I've heard him talk with inspiration about people and communities and how to make things better and how to make sure that other people realize their potential the way that he's benefited from communities supporting him to help him realize his potential. And that's a story I think that so many of us as Nova Scotians can recognize and become a part of. So this is a young man who takes issues seriously but doesn't take himself seriously, who understands that in order to sort of solve a problem, you need to be part of the problem. His friends consider him to be the rock, and I think that is in part because he's the kind of person who recognizes the pain in others. Although he doesn't dwell on the pain in others, he doesn't dwell on the story that he has. He's not a person who would describe himself as a victim, as a survivor, or even as a hero. He's just an amazing guy with an amazing story, doing amazing work for all the rest of us. So it's an honor, Brendan, to be here and to recognize with everybody else the extraordinary work that you've done and what you're going to continue to do for the rest of us. Congratulations to you, and happy birthday to Rofina. I'm sure you'll tell that story when you're up here. So get up here, congratulations. Thanks very much. If I can do this for a moment. Against doctor's orders.
So you can all make fun of me for the notes, and I'll explain why they're on ripped up pieces of paper in a minute. So that video is pretty amazing. There's two things that blew me away about that. My wife on camera. Rena, for those of you that know her, is my rock. She's a trained editor, so she works behind the scenes in movies and TV, and she's always said only fools go on camera, so at least I can get at it. And that's the first time I've ever heard my dad say he was proud of me. So I think that's the magic of Danny Graham. I want to thank Danny for nominating me. Danny was one of the first people I met with shortly after I decided to take a run at this crazy life we call politics. And it was actually, I remember one meeting in particular, it was with him and Jack. And Danny said to me, he encouraged me to get involved, and his advice was to dream big. So Danny is someone that I confide in and someone I have a lot of respect for. So I want to thank you, Danny. All right, let's get on to the Hilroy page notes here. First of all, I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. I also want to take a moment to recognize and give a heartfelt thank you to all the award recipients. I had a chance to speak to a few of them tonight. Wow. You are truly some inspiring individuals. I'm going to skip some of the stuff because I don't want to be up here too long, because I think a lot of people want to go home soon. But when Danny told me that he called me, I think it was around 9 o'clock at night. Rena said never call that late again, by the way. That I was getting this award and the ambassador. You know, it was, it left me speechless. And like Christian said, that doesn't happen very often. So I just couldn't realize what I had done to deserve an award that people like Wanda Thomas Bernard, Fred Connors, Mickey McDonald, who actually gave me my first job ever, Colin McDonald, and of course Danny, had received. It kind of seemed like a dream. These are people that have achieved and continue to achieve some amazing things. So to even be mentioned in the same breath as these individuals is truly an honor. And it actually will be something that I tell my children. So actually, the story behind these papers is my amazing life partner, Rena Moyer, or Catherine Moyer, gave birth 2 days ago to our daughter, Rafina Bridget Maguire. So as usual, I procrastinated. And my wife was telling me for the last 3 weeks, write your speech. Yes, 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 I'll write my speech, don't worry about it. So we go into the hospital. She gives birth. She's like, you have to write your speech for tomorrow. So I wrote this speech yesterday as I laid on the cot at the IWK. And those things are uncomfortable, so. With my wife, Rena, and my one-day-old daughter, Rafina, sleeping peacefully in bed. So looking at them inspired me to write about family, what it used to mean to me and what it means now. As most of you know, I grew up in foster care. I was a ward of the court at a young age, and my biological parents, I think most people know this, you know, I don't hold any ill will to my biological parents. I used to, I'm not going to lie to you. They had their reasons. They left my brothers and sisters and I and went on with their lives. And this one's for you, Linda. So I want to be clear that this is my story, and it's only part of my story. For too long, I let that beginning drag me down. I let it be the entire book. But now it is just a chapter. I was an angry youth. I was a disappointed youth. I became an adult at age 5. When I was 5 years old, I was living with a foster family. And they were moving to Toronto. And they had said to me, they pulled me aside and they said, you know, you can come to us to Toronto, we'll adopt you, and you'll have a secure, safe family. But if you do that, you'll never see your brothers and sisters again. Or you can leave and see your brothers and sisters, but the chances are nobody will adopt a 5-year-old. So I chose to leave. So family meant disappointment, it meant fear, it meant loneliness. You see, even a child knows when they're not wanted. It's not all going to be sad, I promise. I remember being locked in a dark, damp furnace room for some small thing that I had done, and I would cry myself raw. I would hurt myself to try to get out of that room. Sometimes I was taunted, and other times it was just silence. Eventually I would just give up. I would sit on that cold floor, reliving every hurtful word and every hurtful moment of my life. I decided right then and there I wasn't going to care anymore. I was alone, and I was 10 years old. I pushed people away. My foster parents were not mom or dad. They were just people who put a roof over my head. I would run away. I would sleep in apartment lobbies. I would sleep in forts and camps that we had built. I actually one night slept on a friend's roof. I climbed up onto his roof and slept on his roof. But the funny thing is, no one ever came looking for me. So it solidified what I felt all along, that no one cared. Family meant physical and mental abuse, being told to leave Christmas Day because you're a foster child. It meant being woken up in the middle of the night, being kicked and punched, being left home alone when everyone else went out for dinner or went skiing or sledding. Family meant it being taunted and tormented because you were a foster child and your parents do not love you, so why should we? By age 16, I was on my own and completely numb. No feelings, no regard for my well-being. The booze started, the partying, the fighting, skipping school, up all night. The bad decisions became my only decisions. It went on and on like this for a long time. But along the way, there was cracks in my I don't care attitude. And they started to show. One night in particular, while a bunch of us were out, we were discussing, if you could have anything in the world, what would you want? And you know, typical, I want a car, I want a house, I want this. And it got to me, and I unexpectedly said, it literally slipped out of me. I said, if I could have anything, it would be a family. It would be a place to call home. I just want to go home. So I was hurting inside. I started to realize that because I was carrying decades of emotional baggage. There were people and places along the way that helped. They put dents in my armor. But still, family meant nothing. And as I summed it up to myself one Christmas Eve while alone, drinking and eating pizza, which was my tradition, family is overrated. I made it this far without it. I can make it forever. That is what family meant. Now, ask me today what family means, and you get a smile and a completely different answer. My life changed forever, May 12th, 2012. I actually have a tattooed on me, so I never forget my wedding date. I almost did this year. Rena was like, honestly, it's tattooed on you. How did you forget? That was the day I married the woman of my dreams, Rena Catherine Moyer. Then again, June 16th, which is tattooed on the other wrist, 2013, when my son Oliver Finn Maguire was born. And one more time, 2 days ago, when my daughter, Rafina Bridget Maguire, was born. These people are my family, and they love me unconditionally. They believe in me. They accept me. They want to be around me. With Rena, I actually knew on the second date. We were out. She brought her sister and her brother-in-law along on the date, clearly to judge me. She won't admit that, but she said for comfort. I had a mohawk then, so she was probably like, he seems nice, but the hair's got to go. And I did get the haircut for you, Premier, so there you go. But I knew on the second date. James, her brother-in-law, and I were standing in the kitchen, and I looked over at him, and I said, I'm going to marry her. And I'd never said anything like that in my life. So that was only 2 dates in. So, family means, to me, it means getting up to hold my son in the middle of the night because he's crying. It's rubbing Rena's back when she's pregnant, and quite honestly, all the time. Can't believe I just said that on camera. It's going outside on a freezing cold morning to scrape off the car and heat it up so my children don't get cold. It's that feeling in your stomach that you get, that knot, when you're away for too long. It's rushing home for supper. And my favorite part of the day, it's that overwhelming sense of peace when you open up your son's door and he's standing there in his crib with that big smile on his face. Family is missing the NFL playoffs because they want to go to the library. But it's listening to your children, it's encouraging them, it's hugging them, and being patient. Family is all this and more. And for the first time in my life, I'm putting people before me. Yeah, it's funny because I love my family, and that wish that I made all those years ago for a family and a place to come home, call home, has finally come true. Lastly, I'm going to thank a few people here. And I said here, make it quick, but that's probably not going to happen. And I want to thank, some of them are not here tonight, but I want to thank them on camera. I want to thank Yves Campagne. I've never actually thanked him in my life, and he's never said he's proud of me, so let's do this all tonight. So it wasn't always easy. I'm not perfect. I'm nowhere near perfect. I've done things that have made him upset. I've done things that have made him ashamed. We didn't always agree, and it was difficult, but in the end, he is, and you are, my father figure, and I wouldn't ask for anyone else. To Ainsley McNeil Campbell, where are you at? I know you're over there somewhere. Usually I can hear you. There you are. So the story behind Ainsley. Ainsley was the social worker the night that my parents decided they had had enough. So Ainsley was the social worker that came and picked us up. And obviously I didn't see her until years later when I went to Phoenix House. She was the one that accepted me and signed me up and brought me into, I think you did my initial interview actually. So, 13 years later I saw her. Then I moved out of Phoenix House. And then she was a shining star on my campaign. To me, Ainsley, you are my guardian angel. To my colleagues in the Premier, I know it has been a transition for me to go from work boots and hats and hard hats to a suit and tie. I'm not good at tying my tie, to be quite honest with you. But I thank you all for being a team and for being so supportive. And Alan, I will not sit still. That is never going to happen, buddy. I love you, bud. To Linda Wilson. I don't know if everybody here knows who Linda is, but she is a role model. She has unselfishly done so much for so many. She's put so many people before her. She talks about me. You've saved and helped hundreds, if not thousands, of children in Nova Scotia. You had faith and belief in me before anyone else did. I would speak about the great Linda Wilson to my friends, and my friends would say to me, who is she? And I would say, she is like my mother. And I'm going to correct that today. You are my mother. Thank you for everything. I love you. To my wife, Rena, who cannot make it tonight, and is probably texting me right now saying, hurry up. They say behind every good man is a great woman, and in our case, it could not be truer. You are my partner, my love, my best friend, and my hero. I was broken and numb for so long, but you saw through that. You helped fix me. You are the mother of my children. I will never disrespect you. I will always love you. That Whitney Houston song always goes in my head when I say that. So. I will carry you if you need it, and I would put my life on the line for you. You restored my faith in humanity, and you are my love story. To my son Oliver and my daughter Rafina, I will break the cycle. I will love you unconditionally. You can be whatever you want to be. You can be with whomever you want to be with. Love whoever you want to love. Daddy will always support you, listen to you, love you, and no matter how old you get, hug you. I will not only break the cycle, I will shatter it. And one more thing to you, Rafina, never let a man put his hands on you. Never let a man tell you you are less than him, because in truth, you are better than him. Never let a man decide what you want to do with your life. Never forget you are a proud, strong woman. Most of all, to Oliver and Rafina, never forget that Daddy loves you. So here I stand 30 years later, after my parents left. I stand here before you as Brendan Oliver Maguire, husband, father, and proud MLA for Spryfield. I have to name them all, because if I don't name one part, someone will say, you didn't say Portuguese Cove. That's how it goes. Spryfield, Herring Cove, Harrietsfield, Williamswood, Ketch Harbor, Sambro, Portuguese Cove, Leveland Park, Purcell's Cove, the Pennants, and every other road in between. And who would have thought? So thank you all for coming out tonight, and thank you, Family SOS. You truly change lives.